movement. It was only, what was it, April or May of last year? April. And there were many speakers. And Brian, when he stood up and he started talking about his message, and it's so much deeper than this book. But then he picked up the book and he read the poem. And I literally, when he was done, ran out of the room to buy the book because I was so excited and his message touched my heart so deeply I was afraid that he was going to sell out. So that being said, this book, I get teary-eyed just thinking about it, and I've talked about it many times and I still get all choked up. But the fact of the matter is if this was in a bookstore, it would be in the children's section. However, I think everybody in this room has something that identifies with this book. I think everybody should have it. All children, grandparents, men, women. It's a great gift, but not only is it a great gift, it's just something that you should have, and there's a workbook in the back. I have done it on separate pieces of paper because I'm afraid to get the beautiful book messed up because the illustrations are gorgeous. But his message is, again, so much deeper than this book, and he's going to talk to you about World Empowered more so than this book. The one thing that he won't do, but I will do, is, and Christy mentioned it, 80% of all of your money goes to World Empowered. It doesn't go in his pocket. And that is meaningful in itself. And so I just want to introduce BC, or Brian, however way you want to say it. And he's become a dear friend. We've met several times. We've shared awesome stories. And I just get excited every time he speaks. And the other last thing that I will say about him is his fear. Let's see, how do I want to say this? Speaking is not his favorite thing to do. It actually terrifies him. And this message is so important to him that he overpowers his fear because his message is so important. So I'm excited.
Are we going?
I believe so.
Whew. Well, thank you, Misty, for that incredibly warm and edifying introduction. Can everybody hear me in the back, or should I use the speaker? Good? Microphone?
Use the speaker.
Use the speaker. How's everybody doing this morning?
Great.
Everybody happy and excited and pumped to be here?
Yes.
Me too, mostly. I should have gone pee, I don't know how much of my excitement is that and how much of it is terror. It really is terrifying to be up here in front of all of you. I've never had the undivided attention of this many amazing, powerful women before. I feel like I'm auditioning for The Bachelor or something. I'm kidding for that, I'm not for sale, but I really am terrified to be up here. Not so much for me, but I recognize that I'm standing on the precipice of a really great opportunity. Not for me and my book and my organization, but somebody here has a heart that's just aching to hear this message. My goal is to touch at least one soul here today, and I hope that that's you. I remember what it's like sitting in your seat. I remember what it's like running a business and juggling obligations and trying to build a life. When I was 23, 30 days after September 11th, I took over as the owner of Colorado Lifestyle Furniture. I ran that furniture company for 15 years, and I remember that yearning for success, yearning for recognition, yearning for a bank statement that wouldn't cause me anxiety. Some of you can relate to that. But more than anything, I remember that yearning, deep down in my soul, for that one message that would skyrocket my life. Can anyone here relate to that? Well, I'm going to give you that message right here, right in the beginning, right in the front. The coffee might wear off. Some of you might have to go pee. The rest of my speech might put you in a coma, so I'm going to give it to you right now. Write this down. Make sure that it matters I was ever even here. I'll say it again. Make sure it matters I was ever even here. All right, thanks for having me. I gotta go pee. No, I'm not gonna leave you there. I just lost my mic. This thing's sensitive, isn't it?
It is a little hard to deal with.
Hello? Hello, hello. I broke it. I'm not gonna leave you there. I want it to matter that I was here this morning. Oh. Remember those?
Oh? Kristen, you have to stand.
You remember those old TVs with the rabbit ears? You had to put tinfoil on them, and you had to have a 4-year-old stand next to it to make sure the picture. I feel like I can't move from this spot. I'm tethered. Where was I? No, I wanted to matter that I was here this morning. Here's the thing. None of you would be here today. None of you would be a member of this incredible organization, NorcoWIB, if you didn't buy into the philosophy, as I did at an early age, that if you don't get to work building your dreams, somebody's going to hire you to build theirs. Plain and simple. If you don't get to work building your dreams, somebody's going to hire you to build theirs. It's a heck of a lot easier to have a job in this world, isn't it? How many of you have worked a 70 or 80-hour work week? Was that last week? Is it likely to be this week? Wouldn't it be nice to punch that time clock for 40 hours and go home, leave work behind? As a business owner, that doesn't always happen, right? How many of you have ever gone a week or weeks or months without drawing a paycheck? All for the sake of your business and your employees, right? Be pretty nice to relax into the security of that guaranteed income, isn't it? But one thing's for certain. You wouldn't be here today, you wouldn't be a part of this group, you wouldn't be listening to me if you hadn't placed more importance on the attainment of your dreams than the security of what's easy. So let's talk about dreams, shall we? I happen to believe that there's a really big difference between a goal and a dream. I think a goal is something that we want, but a dream is something that we have to have. I think a dream is something that comes from a higher source to tell us that this is what you're meant to do. I'm pretty sure that the first draft of Martin Luther King's speech didn't say, I have a goal. See, I have a goal to sell 1 million copies of this book. But bigger than that, I have a dream to touch 1 million lives with the message of this book. Does the distinction between the two resonate with anybody? There's just a different energy about it. When I was a kid, my dad used to tell me over and over and over again, son, the only thing that matters in this life is the way you're remembered when you're gone. Now I recognize that I'm standing in a business networking group. I don't want an angry female mob saying goals are important. I'm not saying that goals aren't important. I'm not saying goals aren't good. All I'm saying is that nobody's eulogy ever read, she was a really good goal setter. Carl Sandburg didn't say, nothing happens unless first we set a goal. No, he said, nothing happens unless first we dream. There's a reason why dreams and intuition feel so similar. They're both messages coming from the same source, perceived in the same place. That's why over and over and over here, we hear people say, something just doesn't feel right. Or my gut's telling me something's off. Or I can just feel it in my soul. Is this making sense to anybody, or am I sounding crazier and crazier up here? How many of you stopped listening when I stopped talking about goals? Oh, none of you. Wow, that's better than I expected. So what happens when we ignore our intuition? Really, really, really bad stuff. Really bad stuff happens when we ignore our intuition. When I look back on my life, every bad thing that happened to me, at some point, I previously ignored my intuition. Every bad tenant I had a bad feeling about. This one gal actually drove her car through my house when she was drunk and tweaking on meth. I was running my furniture company. I remember this one time I was trying to cut these maple inlays to fit perfectly into this cherry coffee table I was building, and I actually ran these two fingers through a table saw and almost cut them both off. And the thing that's funny about that is I actually looked at my employee just seconds beforehand. I said, dude, I'm gonna lose my friggin' fingers doing this. I just had a feeling. August 8th, 1997, I was in a motorcycle accident that actually took my life 3 times. 5:38 p.m., that's when my heart stopped for the first time. Rewind the clock about 10 minutes. It's a hot August evening. The sun is casting this beautiful, gorgeous hue, cascading over the Rockies, and I'm riding my Honda CBR 600 F3. That's a motorcycle, a race-ready, street-legal rocket on wheels. I'm doing about 85 in a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and this little green pickup truck pulls out from a stop sign right in front of me. I bet you can guess what happens next. Well, it wouldn't be a very good speech, right? If I just went right around him and kept going. No, you're right. You're all right. I broadsided him. I T-boned him. I missed going through the driver's side door by mere inches. I flew 15 feet over the hood of the truck. And when I landed, I had compound fractures of both of my femurs and 6 broken ribs. Lying on the asphalt, bleeding internally with bones sticking out through my corduroy jeans. How many of you remember when cords were cool?
They are.
I didn't think they, in retrospect, I don't think they actually ever really were. But I don't need to bore you and gore you with all the details. Suffice to say that was a fairly impactful day. Not just on my bike and the truck and the asphalt, but on me in my life. And the thing that's interesting about that story is 2 days before, I had a dream. Not in a Martin Luther King type of dream, but an actual dream. And I dreamt about every single detail of that accident. And the morning of, I woke up and I had this terrible, gut-wrenching ache that something awful was about to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen to me. So I told you about running my furniture company. I told you about the motorcycle accident that took my life 3 times. And my heart stopped in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. It stopped in the ER when they were trying to put me back together like Humpty Dumpty. And then again, the 3rd day, my lungs filled up with blood and bone marrow. And when they went to intubate me, my heart stopped again for the 3rd time. If I had more time with you this morning, I would talk about my battle with depression and the suicide attempts and the 2.5-year drug addiction. But I really want to get back to this point. Make sure that it matters you were ever even here. In 2015, I had this overwhelming sense that if all I ever did was build furniture for people, I would consider my second chance wasted. I felt like nobody's life was ever really changed because I got a custom desk or a nicer entertainment center or a brand new bed. Although a lot of lives have been changed in bed, it's really not the bed's doing. It really has nothing to do with the bed or the person who. Some of you can relate to that. All right. I had this overwhelming feeling that there was something more that I was meant to do. And my intuition was telling me, move to Costa Rica. Talk about scared, like my whole life is here. My business is here, my properties are here, my friends and family are all here. I don't even speak Spanish. Lo siento, Betsy, pocas palabras en español. But I knew I had to go. My gut, my intuition, divine intelligence, something was telling me, go to Costa Rica. I had asked for inspiration, the inspiration arrived, and I felt like if I ignored it, it might never come again. So I did. In 2016, I shut my business down, packed up a backpack, and I spent a year traveling the world. I went down to Central America for 3 months. I rode my motorcycle, a new one, not the wrecked one from earlier. I bought a motorcycle. I rode it from Nicaragua down to Panama. I came back for 2.5 weeks over Christmas. My mom missed me. I missed my mom. Then I flew to Bali and I spent 8.5 months traveling around Southeast Asia. And it was during these world travels that my nonprofit organization was given birth, A World Empowered. None of that would have happened if I had ignored my intuition. If I had stayed where things were safe and comfortable and I recognized that everything happened on a schedule, none of that would have ever happened. This isn't my recommendation for your life, by the way. I'm not suggesting that you should shut down your business and travel the world. I don't want to get an email tomorrow from some angry guy saying, listen here, buddy. I just heard that you told my wife to shut her business down and travel the world with you. I don't want to hear from Christy tomorrow saying, Brian, you were supposed to talk to my group about building their business, not shutting it down. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is listen to your intuition, follow your dreams, even if it's scary, even if it's terrifying. Listen to it. That's divine intelligence trying to shine a light on your path. Listen to it. The last thing that I want to talk about this morning, because it's the second most important ingredient in achieving your dreams, is persistence. John Quincy Adams once wrote, "Perseverance has a magical effect, before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish." It's really a pretty simple concept. You know, if you want to get to Vietnam, which I highly, highly recommend when you get the chance, you can literally start traveling in any direction, and as long as you keep going long and long and long enough, eventually you'll end up there. If you keep trying, if you keep working, if you keep going hard enough, long enough, eventually, no matter what, you will end up where you want to be. Let me tell you a story of the book. So I wrote the poem that later became the book in 2012. But it took me 7 years to see this dream come to life. I hired one illustrator, I paid her $1,500. 6 months later, she was gone. Stopped returning calls, stopped returning emails, just ghosted. About a year later, I hired another artist. 3 illustrations in, quality of their work just tanked. Like it wasn't even the same person. About a year later, hired another illustrator, paid another $800 deposit. 3 illustrations in, same thing. Brian Tracy writes 7 books a year, and it takes Brian DiCiacco 7 years to write a book. But look what persistence created, right? I wanted to give up so many times, so much disappointment. But I wouldn't have found this illustrator, it wouldn't have turned into what it is today. So here's my dismount, my Mary Lou Retton, my triple backflip with a twist. If everybody could open up their book to page 2, please. Try to share amongst yourselves. This is a poem that could change the world. It could save the lives for boys and girls. Women, men, people of all ages. The answers you seek could be on these pages. I know the truth and the magic within, and I'll tell you now if you're ready to begin. Questions, answers, solutions aplenty. This wisdom will make quite a difference for many. I've studied and asked and hoped and prayed, spent countless hours awake where I laid, in hopes that these words would come to my mind, and they arrived here this morning and just in time. I can share with you now step-by-step instructions that will lead to ceremonies and lots of inductions. A world full of hope and all of your dreams, pockets full of 20s busting at the seams, friendships and a laughter and a love so true. All of these things could be waiting for you. If you can only apply what I'm teaching today, stick to the plan and never stray, decide you'll try to use what you learn, you'll amaze yourself at what you can earn. We've heard this formula so many times from books and old folks and nursery rhymes, but somehow the message gets lost through the ages like mythical fables only told by sages. It seems so simple, now I see it in writing. I don't understand what we've been fighting. This magical formula, or so it appears, is belief in ourselves and releasing your fears. Belief in ourselves and belief in our dreams used to be so easy, or so it seems. As children, we dreamed of pie in the sky, of careers and travel and things that could fly, but somehow now, as age creeps in, belief in our dreams is wearing thin. The question I have to ask is why? Why do we allow these dreams to die? Is it time or money or obligations? Is it the hunger and strife of faraway nations? What happened to convince us to give up so quick? Are we tired and lonely or just plain sick? It really doesn't matter the reasons why. The only thing that matters is, again, we tried. We were all once kids with dreams we could see, so think again of what might be. If everything you wanted started coming true and you awoke tomorrow to a life brand new, cars, jobs, love and health, a beautiful world and abundant wealth, your life can be perfect in every way and it can happen for you if you begin today. You can start today to make things right. Grab your loved ones and hold them tight. Stop what you're doing and dry all your tears, walk a new path and release your fears. The power you need to make your dreams come true is a power already inside of you. You are the answer you've been looking for. You can do anything and so much more. If you follow this 4-step process, you'll see just how amazing your life can be. Step 1, conceive. Step 2, believe. Step 3, start acting. Step 4, achieve. It's simple, I know. That's all, that's it. But your dreams will come true if you just don't quit. Are you going to listen to your intuition? Are you going to follow your dreams? Will you leave here today and seek for a way to interject more intuition and more dreams into everything that you do? When your time runs out and that last grain of sand falls from your hourglass, will you be able to say with all of your heart, it mattered I was ever even here? I love you all. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
One thing he didn't mention is that he will be signing books at the end, and also there's postcards for $6.50, and it's got the whole poem in it.